Welcome to the Explainer. You know, some cars are just machines. But every once in a while, a car comes along that defines an entire generation of what it means to be fast and what it means to be desired. Today, we're telling the story of one of those cars, one that became so much more than a car. It's a tribute, a benchmark, and an absolute legend. This is the story of the Ferrari Enzo. Let's just start with this quote from Evo magazine, because it nails it. It's not just a car, it's an era distilled into carbon fiber and screaming V12s. That says it all, right? This wasn't just about steel and rubber. It was about capturing the feeling of Ferrari's total dominance at the start of the millennium. It was a raw, emotional experience, and oh man, it was all powered by one of the greatest engines ever built.
So to really get the Enzo, you have to start with its name and its entire reason for being. This wasn't a car built just to be the next fast thing. It was built to honor a giant.
I mean, can you imagine the sheer confidence it takes to name a car after the guy who started it all, Enzo Ferrari himself? Just doing that sets the expectation through the roof. The company wasn't just putting out a new flagship model. No, they were crafting a rolling monument to their founder, and it had to represent everything he stood for.
The mission, which they handed to the legendary designer Ken Okuyama, was crystal clear. He had to channel all the magic, all the absolute mastery that Ferrari had on the Formula One track, and inject it directly into a car that, well, you could theoretically drive on the street. This was all about bringing the pinnacle of motorsport to the road. No compromises.
So how did that actually translate into the machine itself? Well, that whole Formula One for the street thing, it wasn't just a slick marketing slogan. It was literally engineered into every single piece of this car. The automotive journalist Chris Harris, I think, put it perfectly. He said, driving this thing is like flying a fighter jet with 4 wheels. The experience was just so raw, almost violent. This was not a comfy grand tour, not at all. It was a pure, unfiltered performance machine that demanded every ounce of your attention. And the numbers behind it, they tell the story.
At the heart of this beast was a monster, a 6-liter naturally aspirated V12 engine. Let me repeat that, naturally aspirated. No turbos, no hybrid stuff, just pure, glorious, screaming power, turning out 660 horses. You have to remember, back in 2002, that number was just astronomical for a car with a license plate.
And all that power, it gave you breathtaking speed. The Enzo could rocket past 217 miles per hour. That's 350 kilometers per hour. For its time, it was right there at the top, one of the fastest production cars the world had ever seen. It completely pushed the boundaries of what anyone thought was possible. I mean, just look at this spec sheet. It seriously reads like it was stolen from a Formula One team's headquarters. The chassis wasn't just made with carbon fiber, it was a full carbon monocoque, making it incredibly stiff and light. It was the very first Ferrari road car to get carbon ceramic brakes for just unbelievable stopping power. And that gearbox? A semi-automatic that just slammed through gears with this brutal F1-style quickness.
But look, specs alone don't make a legend. A car needs a story, and the Enzo's backstory? Oh, it is just filled with drama, insane exclusivity, and yet even a moment you could call divine intervention. Even the design itself was a huge point of drama. That sharp, pointy nose, lifted straight from Michael Schumacher's F1 car, it was not universally loved when it came out. Not at all. Critics were split. But you know what? That controversy, that love it or hate it reaction, it only added to the car's mystique. And today, that nose is probably its most iconic feature. The story of its production, wow. It tells you everything about the insane demand for this car. So, Ferrari's initial plan was just 349 cars, and you couldn't just buy one, you had to be invited. But the response was so overwhelming that they had to up the number to 399. But here's where the story gets truly unbelievable. They built one more, car number 400, and they gifted it to Pope John Paul II, who then auctioned it off for charity. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
So you have this incredible cocktail of breakthrough performance, insane exclusivity, and this wild backstory. It all came together to lift the Enzo out of just the automotive world. It became a genuine cultural touchstone, a symbol of ultimate success.
And really, nothing screams cultural icon quite like the list of people who owned one. It's a who's who of fame. You've got music legends like Eric Clapton and Pharrell,
F1 champions like Kimi Räikkönen, giants of sport and fashion. The Enzo wasn't just a car for enthusiasts anymore, it became the definitive trophy asset for anyone at the very, very top of their field. So this quote from Top Gear really gets to the heart of the Enzo's legacy. It simply redefined the game. It redrew the line for what a road car could be, pushing the whole category from supercar into what we now call a hypercar. It set this new, brutal, and totally uncompromising standard for every top-tier performance car that came after it.
Okay, so what happens when you mix all that together? The heritage, the tech, the cultural status. What does that do to the car's value today? Well, as you can probably guess, the numbers are just as mind-blowing as its performance figures.
So back in 2002, the Enzo cost around $659,000. Now that's a ton of money, no question. But today, depending on the car's history, its mileage, you're talking anywhere from $2 million to over $6 million. That is a massive increase. We're talking 4, 5, even 6 times its original price. It's truly one of the greatest automotive investments of the 21st century. And that makes the Enzo a true blue-chip collectible. The auction results just keep proving it. A pretty standard one sold for over $2.6 million back in 2020. Fernando Alonso's personal car, that went for 5.4 million euros. And the final car, number 400, the one gifted to the Pope, that one sold for an incredible $6 million. Every big sale just adds another layer to the legend.
So we're going to leave you with this thought, which is adapted from a comment by Jeremy Clarkson. Maybe the Enzo isn't the most beautiful Ferrari ever built. I mean, those aggressive lines, people still argue about them today. But when you consider its impact on technology, on performance, and on car culture as a whole, could it be the single most important Ferrari of the century? Now that is a question worth thinking about.